Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here with the Orns 10-minute take on Wigan nil, Watford 1, back-to-back wins for your Hornets, and this was a priceless win for those Golden Boys who got it done today in a rugged affair, in a game that wasn't always pretty to watch, in a game where Watford did not look very good in the first 20 minutes, but grew into the game gradually and made their opportunities count in the end, and very close to the end, in fact. But in the first half, the first 20 minutes belonged to Wigan. Wigan controlled the game, marshaled the game well, gave the Watford defense and the Watford goalkeeper, Daniel Backman, a lot to think about with a couple of shots that were into that box. One that just went past the post. Wigan was making all the noise in the first 15 to 20 minutes. Watford looked like they hadn't really gotten out of bed yet. But Wigan, despite those opportunities, would not capitalize on them in this game, and I really think that that was the difference between Wigan winning the game and losing the game, and ultimately that would come back to hurt them. But as for Watford, Watford persisted and got themselves going in the 22nd minute. Ismaila Sarr up the pitch, getting a ball coming in, a really good ball in, and he managed to tamely hit the ball into the goalkeeper when the sitter opportunity was right there. It was a literal sitter for him, but Sarr just kind of really nonchalanted the ball. He was looking for a finesse touch and a finesse finish, but he just really kind of was very, very nonchalant about that particular shot that he had. And had he committed at the ball with a bit more vim and a bit more passion, I think it would have given Watford the earlier lead in this game. But as it was, Watford were not to score in the first half of this game, and Wigan weren't either, thankfully. And Watford persisted into the second half, but it was Wigan who, as Watford have seen in a number of games this season, the opposition tends to get that better start, particularly away from home, and they begin to start the game the way they started the first half of the game. And that's what happened with Wigan in the second half. They began the second half brightly, the way they started the first half. A goal scoring opportunity just over for them. They were very, very close to scoring with Wigan. Should have scored early in the second half, and Watford rode out that storm. The Watford defense today was not at its best, but it did the very important things it needed to do to stop Wigan from coming in and penetrating on goal. Alta was back from injury. I thought he had a pretty good game, made a couple of real life-saving tackles and challenges just before Wigan players were able to get the ball in. There were a couple of other players for Watford who did defend resolutely, and I thought that those moments in the game defined Watford at the back. Although it was not the best of performances, the bottom line is that these lads dug deep when the situation required it. And Watford, I think, were closer to scoring in the second half overall in this game than Wigan were. And I think that was really the difference. Watford kept persisting with opportunities in a game that got scrappy at times, a game that got physical at times in the second half, as you might expect. Wigan are a team that can get stuck in. They can play the ball long. They can play it on the floor pretty well. And they've got players who've got some real pace and passion. But I think that this actual game not only came down to Watford taking advantage of the opportunity, obviously, that they got, but also came down to the substitutions. I thought the substitutions were the biggest thing about this game, the biggest thing that turned this game in Watford's favor in the end. Wigan had made a couple of substitutions, but they didn't seem to make the required impact, whereas Watford made substitutions that really counted, I thought. Slaven Bilic got the substitutions 100% correct on this occasion, and he really did make the difference with them when he brought on Carlu, and then when he brought on Asprilla. In particular, Gaspar came on as well later on. But those two substitutions of Carlu and Asprilla coming into the game made all the difference. Carlu came on for Sema, and Carlu was on that right side of the pitch, and he was excellent. His energy, his vigor, his endeavor, his positive running, he was electric, was Carlu coming onto the pitch around the 72nd minute or so, whenever it was. And you could see the difference in Watford. I think he energized the entire team. He obviously energized the forward line. And I think that really was infectious among the rest of the Watford players on the pitch because they all stepped up a notch. They all stepped up a gear. And Carlu led that. And I think Carlu was a really big reason why this match turned in Watford's favor and why they went on to win. I thought that his runs into the box on the right side, his crosses in were very good. He gave those Wigan defenders a lot to think about on a couple of occasions. There was a run that Carlu made on the right side where he jinxed past 2, 3, 4 Wigan players and really did create a threat and tried to line up a shot. I think Carlu was really the foundation upon which this game would be won by Watford, and Asprilla came on as well, and he, of course, was a very key component with the goal for Watford in the 87th minute. It was his cross from the left side of Wigan's pitch, going their way, and for the right side for Watford, who that was integral. His cross, Asprilla, it was brilliant, and he can put a ball on a sixpence, and his assist was rewarded because his ball from that right side was crossed in, and João Pedro, kind of a back header, kind of glancing back header into the back of the Wigan net, looping in. It was a superb header, and that was that for Wigan. And Watford wheeling away in delight with João Pedro getting the goal on the 87th minute. But Watford still has some defending to do in this game, and Wigan would not be completely dead yet because they had two really meaningful chances that I think on another day they would consider themselves unlucky not to have converted. A shot just over the crossbar in one instance. And then there was a shot just over, I think it was a header, just over the crossbar right at the death that gave a real scare to the Watford defense. But Watford were good value for their win despite not playing well in this game. They got their second consecutive win, did Watford, and they also got their second consecutive clean sheet. I thought that was a very, very important sign for Watford. And if you're going to go up this league, and if you're going to go into the playoff spots, and if you're going to get into promotion position, you have to win these kinds of games. These are the rough games, the ugly games. The opposition makes it very difficult for you. They really do stop you from doing what you want to do. It's not always easy to get your game plan executed. The DW Stadium is a very tricky place to play in. Wigan are a very rigorous outfit. And so Watford, I think, stood up well against this Wigan side, who, I think will be left to rue their chances. But Watford, I think, well deserving in the end of the victory, because I think they took just a few more of their chances than Wigan did. Watford created more, I think, in that second half. They had more of the possession overall at 53%. And I think you saw a Watford side that I think was uplifted by those substitutions by Slaven Bilic and uplifted by the presence of Carlu. I think Carlu was sensational. And although João Pedro ended up scoring the all-important goal and Asprilla got the all-important assist, I think that Carlu was the man of the match here for his energetic play. I think he really turned the tide, gave something a little bit different to Watford, gave him a little bit of a different dimension, was much more aggressive, much more forward-thinking than we'd really seen throughout this match. I thought the midfield today wasn't too bad. I thought Chowdhury grew into the game as well, really snapping into challenges like we'd seen him do against Luton Town. And also Kayembe, I think, had a better game, although he wasn't brilliant in this game. Again, look, in these games, sometimes in the Championship, it's not about how pretty you look. It's about getting the job done, getting the goal, and getting out of dodge. And that's what Watford did today up in Lancashire. It's their first win up in Lancashire in 4 trips this season. And thankfully, we did get that all-important win. This has been the Orns 10-minute take.